Home Show Garden Pros, helping to turn your thumb green.
Well, hello, and welcome to Home Show Garden Pros, the video live version. So you're tuning in to a garden advice segment. So this is what we do. We give out great gardening advice. We do it here every single Wednesday at 3:30, just chatting through gardening topics. We also have a radio show every single Saturday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., and we do that. We dish out gardening advice. We get to go pretty deep and cover a lot of topics because we gather all of these incredible experts from all over the area. Plants for All Seasons, Enchanted Forest, Enchanted Gardens. You got Kingwood Garden Center, Warren Southern Gardens, Nelson Nursery and Water Gardens, and Nature's Way Resources, all adding experts to our pool. They're our co-op members. Pretty cool stuff. We also lovingly call them our garden pros because they are legitimate professionals and experts. So we like talking gardening. That's what we do every single week, both here and on the radio show on Sports Radio 610. And we also love answering questions, homeshowgardenpros.com. There's the Ask a Pro button. There's also the listen button that you can listen to the radio show. It's a podcast. You feel free to tune in every single week as we listen to that. And then on this show, we like to just get into some stuff, answer some listening questions, and we always love lifting up one of our favorite garden clubs or nonprofits, something like that we also see as incredible sources and doing this great garden work in the city. So without further delay, ladies and gentlemen, Meg Tapp from the Garden Club of Houston.
Hello. Nice to be with you again.
Always a pleasure to have you. And, without any further ado, tell us about graffiti. Not the wall art,
some more
but y'all's
ado.
event. Oh, okay, more.
Yes, so much more ado. Okay, graffiti art in the city is the flower show at Sawyer Yards, which is Silver Street Studios, and it is going to be on the 27th and 28th of April. And it is a flower show, but it's not really what you think of as a flower show. When I think of a flower show, I think it's just a bunch of centerpieces, but it's not that. It is all kinds for specifically the horticulture part of it. People from all around our region who are members of the Garden Club of America enter a competition. So we all have grown things in our gardens and we bring them to the show and it gets judged. And it's really fun to walk into the room because it's full of beautiful plant material, both in pots and cut specimens in little bottles. And it just smells really good because the flowers are out. And it's just really pretty. And you can see what grows all around this area. And like I said, people from Beaumont come and bring what they have, so you can find what grows in your area and see something and you think, oh, first of all, it may have won a blue ribbon, but also it could just be really something that looks pretty to you. You look on the little card that the person who entered it filled out and it'll tell you how it's grown, if it's inside, outside, east facing, full sun, whatever it is, it'll tell you all that. So you can kind of think, yeah, I can do that. I can do that in my garden. And it will also tell you where the person is from. So it could be Houston, it could be San Antonio, it could be whatever. So that will also help you know what grows here. But that is the horticulture part, and it is very fun. But then there is the botanical arts, which they make like things that you would think were true pieces of jewelry out of only botanical arts. Like it might be a garbanzo bean that's painted pearlescent and they've made a pearl necklace, and you would be shocked that it's not a pearl necklace, but that's a fun little kind of offshoot. And then there are flower
we call those
arrangements.
Survival necklaces. It's a survival necklace.
Oh, so you can
yeah, just in case the system fails, you can grow garbanzo beans without having to invade a seed shop or something. Anyway, so that's so cool. Okay, keep going. Sorry, keep going. Well, actually, will you show us the flyer one more time? I just, it's nice for people to be able to see. Yeah, there it is, right there. And good job holding up right in the middle this time.
I know I was a little spazzy at the first. Sorry, but
it's
yes,
hard because right is left and left is right. It's like
absolutely. So It's April 27, 28, and it is free, open to the public, and it really everyone likes it. Even like kids even like it. Believe it or not. Yeah. It's the 27th is noon to 5 p.m. and the 28th is 10 to 3. And anyway, come on by. And it really is something very fun to see.
That is so cool. It's super cool. And it's one of y'all's major things you do every year. And it's so nice to be able to do something outdoors and get together with people. I love that. Well-timed as well.
Yes. It's very nice when people can finally get together. And there's an educational component. There's always a conservation and education exhibit. So I can't remember what it is for this year, but
Well, it sounds like
something for
every
everyone.
single piece is going to have an educational component telling us what plant it is, what conditions it thrived in. I mean, that's pretty cool right there, just to have that educational component.
Yes,
Condone,
that is tricky.
Condonement.
It's tricky. Is it Wednesday? Is that the problem?
Maybe
Um,
it's Wednesday, yeah.
Wednesday.
That's right.
But and also there's a little app when you go to the show, and so you can listen on your phone, and it has the people who are exhibiting for the flower arranging and the photography and the miniature gardens, telling you
Oh.
what their inspiration was, or like a little fun fact. So, like
Well,
I said,
that all
head
sounds
on out
really
there.
incredible. Since you're here, and now that you've done, your duty as a representative of the Garden Club of Houston, let's answer some questions.
Done.
Okay, great. Here we go. First question. This one comes from Zubia. She says, "Help! I want to add a mixture of tall/short flowers in a pot I have and place it by the pool." Okay, Meg, that's the easy part. It's about a
Okay.
foot deep and no drain holes. Okay, so it's by the pool, pretty shallow, no drain holes. What would survive in full sun facing east and minimal watering? Any advice would be appreciated. So, pretty much
I
you
am gonna
need
go-
you need an aquatic plant that can survive in a desert climate.
Oh, I was going to say a artificial plant would
No.
thrive in that environment.
No, we got lots of good plants.
Well, it's going to be super duper tricky to have no drain hole in there because
Right.
honestly, if it's only a foot tall, just start all over. As far as if nothing's in there right now, just drill a drain hole in it, because you really need it to drain, because it's going to get all the water will get stuck in there. And
No,
you
absolutely.
need to water it.
You're talking about like a catchment. It becomes like basically a catchment system. And so if you're looking for a water-free environment, a plant that doesn't need a lot of water, well, this thing's going to be swamped half the time. And so,
Yeah,
you-
and then if you're gonna, I mean, and if it's by the pool, I'm thinking it's hot because it's on the pavement or whatever's by the pool, so that pot's gonna get hot, and it's full blast sun, so you are gonna need to water it often. So it really is gonna need a drain hole so that when you water it, it doesn't just stick in there. So
right.
the first thing is to get a drain hole, and let me
Yeah.
think what would grow. What do you
I mean,
think
I
would
think
be?
I think some Gulf Coast muley would be phenomenal. You get like
that
a
would be
pink,
pretty.
pretty hardcore, heavy-duty, bulletproof plant, and you get that pretty pink flowering, and it's not very messy, easy to clean up every single year. That's one thing that might be good. I mean, you could get that wavy apuntia that does not have the thorns. Might be another kind of wacky one, and there's maybe some small palms, a palmetto, something like that to give it a Mediterranean feel if that's what you're looking for.
Except for that one can be prickly, like when
Yes.
you walk into the end of it.
Yeah, and that's the bad thing about poolside plants is generally that's when you have like the least amount of clothes on walking around near plants. So
No
yeah,
running.
good call. No running. Maybe a mangrove instead of a palm then.
Could you do? I guess it would be too hot. I was gonna say you might be able to do like a little citrus, but that's full blast sun is kind of hard. But
Yeah. Yeah, that's good though. I like the way you're thinking.
what about
I mean,
a
it's really-
firecracker plant?
Yeah, firecracker plant.
bush?
That's Russellia. Yeah, that's a good idea. I like that. Okay, well
'Cause it would kind
there's
of-
some good ones. Yeah, definitely. They're definitely like that. And they also bring in hummingbirds. They don't make a lot of mess, and they're really a lush green. So luckily the eastern sun is not the brutal sun. That's the morning time sun. So that is an advantage there. But Meg, you're absolutely right. You got to get some holes in that container if you're going to grow live plants outside in it. You can get by with no holes inside, but it's still tricky. It's still tricky. All right, here we go. Question number 2. Marissa, she's direct. Marissa's direct. I love this.
Blessed.
Best-
She's blessed.
Yeah, bless her for being short. Okay, best plant for mosquito repellent action. So she wants to repel mosquitoes and she wants to use plants to do it.
I know that you, Dany, like wax myrtle
I love wax
For-
myrtle.
for everything. Citronella is one that I think not everybody's heard of, but that's kind of what is marketed. But
Yeah.
wax myrtle, and it's a native. I've just recently learned that.
Yeah.
So that's good. And Danny and I were talking, and you were saying that you could do like rosemary or lavender or something, and then I don't know if it's a wives' tale or not, but that if you put a little sprig of it in your pocket or in your button, then when you walk around, that's supposed to repel it that's supposed to afford repellent
Right.
to you. So I don't know if that is true or not, but why not? She could try it and let us know.
Yeah, and I know people that do that and swear it works. So wax myrtle is awesome. A big kind of evergreen shrub, nice sized plant. Again, native, as Meg mentioned. But it's really great because there have been studies to see what plants actually do this. And wax myrtle was number one, and then it was kind of like lemongrass, citronella. They were the ones doing a lot of work too. But anything besides wax myrtle, you needed a lot of them. And basically, you had to rustle them. So it's like you just had a patio of only citronella and then you were good to go. But if you didn't have that, then it was like, okay, I need to walk around with some twigs in my hair and pockets and socks and stuff. So that's up to you, but I'm gonna go with wax myrtle as being on the list here for your perfect option. So Marissa hope that helps. And here we go. Question number 3. Rod asks, what is the best type of tree to plant next to my pool to serve as a privacy screen? The trees we have were severely damaged by the freeze, but they dropped all their leaves into our pool in the winter. I want trees that are evergreen and don't drop leaves. So Rod is one of the many Americans added pools during the pandemic because, hey, you're not spending as much money going out to eat, so why not waste that money on a pool?
That would be a pretty hefty dining out budget to install a pool. But
Yeah.
I think that's very fun that everyone's getting a pool. I'll be right over. Okay, so to cover up, you could do a bottle brush. I think bottle brushes, they obviously did not do well at all during this lunacy of February, but
Right.
but you can plant one now. And you have to also think about what actually happened in February. It was hopefully a one-off, but you wouldn't plant for thinking, oh, that's now how we are, that we
Right.
need to make sure that whatever we're going to plant can survive that, because that's not how we are. That is how. So I would so don't try to think, oh, I got to be able to protect it, have something that'll grow in this kind of winter, because then you've got to get it through our summer, and our summer
Right.
is really the more consistent thing. So that's just a little aside. Bottle brush, I would think, would be good. And if you wanted to do, you'd have to plant a lot of them, but that's that kind of Marge Simpson plant that is that Italian cypress that's straight up and
yes.
down.
Nice.
You could do that,
Marge
but you'd have to
Simpson plant.
plant a lot of those to do it, and that's just kind of a different look.
One plant that
do
I like in
holly?
this setting, the tree hollies. That's what I was about to say. Is like a bigger American hollies that are kind of the tree-sized ones. They're great. They don't grow very fast, and they put on red berries for birds and stuff like that. And they're cute. And of course, we can't have a question where I don't mention wax myrtle. They make a tall, upright evergreen shrub. Great for green walls, privacy hedges, and of course, mosquito repellent. So.
There you go.
Question
double duty.
Yeah, that's we worked
also
in
there's-
wax myrtle.
To
I'll see if
every
I can work in
question.
wax myrtle on the next one too. We'll see. But yeah, there's some good
Yeah.
options for you there, Rod. Hope that helps.
And Clayera is another one. Clayera is a shrub, but there is one that's a tree. So
Okay.
it's a smallish tree, but that's pretty shiny leaves, and that would work.
Okay, nice. Yeah, they have very shiny leaves, and I didn't realize it was a tree version. I'll look that up. That's exciting because they are
Now
they
I'm
are
scared
pretty
you're
plants.
checking my work.
No. I mean, we're all gonna look it up. Everyone watching will be like, "Oh wow, I'm gonna check this out. This is awesome," and then we'll be happy we learned it from you, Meg.
Or they're like, what was she talking about? That's not
No,
even true.
no, stop it. Question 4. All right, here we go. This is from Becca. All right, I'm a first timer, and seems like tomatoes are doing good. Okay, well that's good. What are tips? I get tips for tomatoes. I'm gonna jump in here and say wax myrtle. All right, fertilizer. My plants seem like they will be way bigger than the cages. Thank you, Meg. I know that you've taught me a lot about tomatoes, and please teach Becca about tomatoes.
So like you have this for wax myrtle, I have it for tomatoes. So this
Nice.
is perfect. We've had a great day. You and I each got what we wanted. So tomatoes. So congratulations on being a first-time tomato girl.
Yes,
To
welcome.
jump to the part of the cages. So cages are the little round metal things that you put in the ground on top of the tomato. So yes, if yours is looking like, if it's a indeterminate kind, which means it's goes. It's not determined how many fruits it will bear, and it's pretty much not determined how tall it will be. I mean, obviously, it's not Jack and the Beanstalk; it will stop, but it just means it's very tall. So what you can do is you can take your one cage that you have on it, and then get another cage, flip it upside down so that its legs are sticking up in the air, and then you can just zip tie or however you want to attach the two
stackable
cages, and then that will give you double height cages. And really much higher than that is going to be you need to start trimming it and keeping it tidy, because it'll get too big and it'll the stems kind of fall over on themselves and they'll almost fold because they'll be too heavy once you have all that fruit on them. So fertilizer, yes, they are heavy eaters during the season, and we have a short season. So you really, like, I pull all of mine out by 4th of July because it's too hot for them. So
nice.
I'm glad that it's happening now. So just keep feeding them. And I like MicroLife 624. That's just a good all-purpose. There's I can't even remember if it's blood meal or bone meal. I think it's blood meal. I have to look at the bag, but you can do that throughout the season, but really 624 should get you through. And then another kind of weird thing to know about tomatoes is once you're finished for the season, when you take them out July, then we can have another season that starts in late August. But you don't want to plant them where you just took the other ones out, because they are hard on the soil. They have taken all that nitrogen out of it, but then also there could be soil-borne illnesses in that, or in this. They've left behind some stuff that it needs to work itself out. So if you can wait and come back to it, I mean, the old rule of thumb is 4 years, but that's kind of hard. But the longer the better before you hit that that
exact
patch
same
again
spot
is
great. Yeah, that's
and
great.
trim,
I mean,
like, don't be scared to trim them.
Yeah.
When they start to get growing out of their cages and flopping and getting in the way when you want to walk by them, it's okay. Just you can keep them tidy. They won't be sad.
Yeah, and there are a couple pests, Becca, as a first timer. Spider mite is one of those ones that really only shows up when the plant is already stressed. So that would be a sign of fertilizer or compost. Add something like that. Maybe a watering. And then, but the army worms, tropical army worms show up around April, and they can actually ruin quite a bit of fruit. But the way you get rid of them is by taking off all of the leaf branches that are in the middle of the plant, making it like a real dense forest in there. If you can open it up, then actually wasps will police the area looking for those worms, and you won't have any armyworm problems if you can open up the inside of the plants. That's a clue that I have loved. And when other people are just losing maters left and right, I'm like, ooh, ha, 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 ha. I mean, then I tell them, how to fix their problem.
You keep it to yourself.
Yeah, I just judge, just sit and judge, just sit and watch and judge. No, I would never.
No, you would not. You're a kind.
Thanks for saying that. And then, but people get pretty worked up about hornworms. And when I'm seeing hornworms, that's like, all right, it's time to start, planning on taking these things out, because they eat the foliage. They love the heat. A lot of times you see them after we're really in production, and they usually eat the very top foliage, which sounds like Meg's saying you need to be taking that off anyway. So watch out for those. Blue jays eat them. So if you don't want to deal with them, get a blue jay house or something like that.
Hi, blue jay. But the army worms, so you'll know that you're going to get in trouble with those worms because it's a white moth. So if you go out there in the evening, and if you, well, not really in the evening, but if you go kind of in the evening and spray, and if you ever see one white moth fly out of your tomato patch, then it's time to take action, because that means they're there. So that's what lays.
What are you spraying on them? BT? Is that what you're putting out?
Well, BT, but I'm saying even if you just do it with water and then it makes one fly off, then you know that you have them, and you now need to start dealing with it, because that means they've been there and they've laid their eggs. But yes, so BT and molasses are two things you can spray on the plant once those caterpillars are already there, or worms, because of caterpillars.
I love that. So that's a great tip to do tonight, is to get out there with your garden hose as the sun's sort of setting, give it a little spray on the leaves. And if you see any moths, you need to get some molasses on that plant ASAP. And evening is a great time to do a foliar spray. So a lot of times when we do them heated the midday sun, we can see some leaf wilting. But if you do it evening, You won't have any problems, and you will have eliminated your threat. So, and also, if your plants are real dense, try to open them up. Get some of the branches out. Leaves. The leaves are a great thing to take out because there's no fruit later on the leaves. A lot of times we let our tomatoes go too much, and when we prune, we're taking off little tomatoes, and that is a little too sad. So
that's sad. That's like that drugstore, that commercial where the wooden Indian is there and he's crying. That one tear.
Wow.
You don't remember that commercial?
That got really
but
dark.
it's for the just make sure you hop on it right away. When you start seeing anything chewed leaves, then they're there. So take care of it right away, or you really will be sad because it will your beautiful tomato will be ruined.
Yep. And as people are grabbing fertilizer to put out their tomato, don't do a high nitrogen fertilizer, right, Meg?
And that's what you need once it's all said and done. That's what's missing from your soil. So when you pull
after
them
it's
out,
gone, okay. After it's gone, nitrogen. Right now, no nitrogen.
Well, the nitrogen that's in the 624, but not nitrogen by itself. Because I think that makes it more greenery and less fruiting. Is that right? Less
right.
Fewer flowers.
Yeah. So that's one thing we don't want to make the mistake is grabbing some, big box store fertilizer that's just going to give you lots and lots of green leaves. Beautiful, lush green leaves, by the way, but no fruit. So that's a big mistake that people can make is no fruit. What pollinates tomatoes?
Me. So the wind. So
you're the wind?
When you
you buried the lead on this thing. Huh? We've been sitting and talking this whole time. No.
Yeah, no idea. No, I'm a rattler. So she was talking about she had her cages. So when you walk by your cage, just literally rattle the cage. Just
that's where that expression came from.
Probably not.
Yeah.
But so you just rattle it, and that will shake some of the pollen loose, and that's because it's pollinated by wind and by itself. So if you just need to move the pollen around to get it to actually be fertilized. So I like to, every morning when I'm surveying my tomato patch, I like to rattle it.
So are you a coffee and survey or a wine and survey? Obviously, your morning time, you're kind of giving that away, but.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, something on the rocks. No, I am a tea drinker, tea and surveying. But I do like to go out, honestly, every morning. It's so fun to see what happened overnight, unless it's something sad. But everything, does grow overnight. It's very fun. And that's such a nice time of day to be able to see what's happened. And then weeds are easier to pull out, I think, in the morning.
Absolutely. And if something sad did happen, you know about it. You know what I mean? Like
so
it's not some surprise.
Day.
Well, I mean, you can take care of it. You can strategize. Right. Yeah, so it's like if you're checking it at 7:30, and then you notice some disaster happen, it's like, okay, well, all of a sudden you're working into the night. Can't have that. No. Well, great job answering these questions. We would invite you guys, if you have questions, just put it in the comments box, and we are very happy to answer them. One of them we're going to go to here from Trish. She asks, how large do female Yopon hollies grow?
Take it away, Dany. No idea.
Well, so if they're in full sun, they stay a little more compact, 7-8 feet, maxing out. If they're in shade, like with a bunch of other things, they can get up to 12 feet. So they are a nice privacy hedge in a space. And then if you grow them where they have space, like instead of being crowded by other trees and other bushes, you can get a pretty nice shaped holly from Yopon holly. And they're definitely one of those great tweener trees, 10-footer, smaller than those big tree hollies, but bigger than some of the small hollies that we see, like the Burford. So yeah, that's a great one, Trish. That's a good maybe suggestion for a privacy hedge is Yopon. And, Meg drinks tea, but Yopon tea is a highly caffeinated tea that you can make a drink out of also. So kind of cool.
You're full service information today.
Absolutely. But don't eat the berries. It's not called Ilex vomitoria for nothing. Okay. So to those of you who didn't ask a question, just put it there in the comments and we're happy to get to it. Right now we're going to go to, we are seeing a lot of weeds in lawns, and our lawns got a little bit of a late start this year. And so some of those weeds got a pretty hefty head start. And so Ed with Enchanted Forest is going to kind of break that down and give us some advice on herbicides. a lot of lawn gardeners out there really get worked up about weeds. So that's where herbicides come in. Now, herbicides can be a give or take thing, but we have some here that work and, are pretty decent. So what do we got here?
Well, we have, nutgrass is a real serious problem in the entire South. It can spread into your beds. It, starts in the lawn and sometimes is not very recognizable.
Well, I call it nutgrass because it makes little bitty nuts in the ground that's where they store energy. It can keep on spreading all the way down.
Right, and it's really hard to kill the nuts. You can knock the foliage down sometimes, but the nut can still remain and come back. So, you have to use products that are going to be effective. Part of that is oftentimes knowing what weed you're dealing with to begin with. And identifying that problem is the most important. But something like the nutgrass eliminator, there's sedge ender, there's a few of them. This particular one's a little less expensive, but it does need a surfactant with it. It can be an oil or a clean ivory soap.
That's just something to help it stick to the leaf, basically.
Right, spreads the spray out better.
Yeah. So these two are pretty obviously named, nutgrass eliminator and sedge ender.
Right, exactly.
And so we're moving on to image, which is less obviously named.
Right, but image, the advantage to that, it'll take a little bit longer to get the nutgrass, but it also gets some of your broadleaves and some other weeds.
So your crabgrass, Dallas grass, goosegrass.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit, if you got more than just nut sedge, that one might be one to go with.
Gotcha. So you have two different bottles here of image. You have this kind of shakeable bottle or pourable, and then the sprayable one. Why do you have these two different ones?
Well, this one is really a convenience factor, but you're going to pay a little bit more for the convenience like anything else. So, I suggest that everybody, if you're gardening, if you're a serious gardener, you should have one of these in your tool shed. It's $15 to $20 usually, and you can save a lot of money. It'll pay for itself usually within 1 year.
Absolutely. Any liquid fertilizer you got to put out, organic or not, this is a great way to get it out.
Yeah, herbicides, fertilizers, insecticides. I mean, it has 3 different settings, and so it has many applications.
Absolutely.
You can put the thing in the dishwasher when you're done.
Nice.
So
really nice tool for sure. And lastly, we're looking at Agrelon. So this one's organic.
Yes, that one's organic, and it works. It doesn't work on nut sedge, but it does get crabgrass and some Dallas grass and goosegrass, some of your thick bladed grasses, and it's a safer alternative if you have issues with dogs and pets, and you want to stay organic when you can.
Yeah, anytime you're using herbicides, you're kind of, do you need to use it? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I'm always uneasy with herbicides.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like politicians, sometimes you have to pick the better of two evils. And
that's so true. Which one do I go with? Ooh, yeah.
Right.
Well, thanks so much, Ed.
My pleasure.
For more, go to HomeShowGardenPros.com. I do love that Agrelon, doing a great job, killing plants with that one. So what are any thoughts, Meg, on Ed's advice there?
I think that's great. Honestly, you do need to get on it and stay on it if you want a lovely lawn. It's funny how we are, because you like everything native and we try to have everything that's plant friendly, and then we just are kind of like, shh. We all have lawns, but we don't talk about it. I mean, not that we don't talk about it, it's just funny. Because if we could actually get rid of it all lawn and have different natives, that would be the best. But I don't know how that would go over.
Yeah, it seems like you'd really have to have a very broad selection of different low-growing, thornless plants. I mean, I think it would be cool. I mean, we have Doug Talloway coming in, the author of Bringing Nature Home for OBA here this summertime, I think in June and maybe July. Go to obaonline.org for more details. But he always talks about how diversity is what's going to save the birds. If we want to save these songbirds that are dying off all over the continent, we need to have diversity in our plants, in our caterpillars, in our trees, all that stuff, and that will be what helps them. So, these lawn herbs, if you will. What'd you say?
I was going to say, I have a segue for saving our birds, but go ahead.
Yes, no, that's awesome. I love segues.
Okay.
2 wheels, so cool.
Yeah, exactly. I knew it. I knew you wouldn't let that one go. Okay, so the city of Houston is having, let me see, I wrote it down, Lights Out Nights, and it's between April 19th and May 7th, 2021, and that's the height of the migration for the birds coming through Texas and specifically our area. So you're supposed to turn off as many lights as you can outside, and in office buildings, the city of Houston is doing it. I can't imagine they're going to do them all, but if you can turn off your outside lights, it helps the birds distracted and crash. So keeping our birds safe as they travel through.
That is awesome. What a great thought there, man. Yeah, I mean, I think it maybe is a surprise to a lot of people that songbirds are in rapid decline, but they are, and it's something that we're responsible for. It's a part of our stewardship issue as humans. So, okay, back to Yopon Holly. Trish has a follow-up question. She does say thank you, which I always appreciate that, Trish. Would it be okay to plant the Yopon Holly in a large pot? So, Meg, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, if it's a large pot.
Yeah, it says large pot. So,
yeah.
Yeah. So our answer for this is wax myrtle. No, I'm just kidding. Is yes, you can plant that in a large pot. Yeah, tomatoes and wax myrtles for everyone.
We're gonna have like this arm wrestle to see. I'm pretty sure wax myrtle would win. I'll give it to you.
Well, the arm wrestling maybe, but if it was a deliciousness contest, that's funny because wax myrtles smell good, tomatoes taste good if they're grown at home. Wax myrtles like to be eaten by birds, and tomatoes like to be drank by birds. So, really a lot in common here. They're great companion plants. As a last tip, why don't you tell people how important it is to have a bird watering system near your tomatoes?
Okay, so birds, if you can have some sort of water feature in your garden, that is great. And birds, if you have just a regular old bird bath, it gets hot and dirty. So if it can have some sort of recirculating feature in it, and that really helps keep it clean and keep it cool, and it attracts the birds. They can hear the water trickle from far away. And what birds are doing when they peck your tomato and ruin it is being mean. No, they are trying to drink. So they're trying to get something to drink out of that tomato. That's what they want. So I'm not saying that every single tomato would not be the victim of a bird, but if you did have a water feature somewhere near your tomato patch, then the birds will go there to drink and bathe, and you'd have a greater likelihood that they will leave your tomatoes alone if they're thirsty.
That's awesome. Yeah, we have 2 bird baths by my vegetable gardens, and they do not drink my tomatoes anymore. It's pretty awesome because we clean them.
Amazing.
We keep them clean and we keep them filled. So that's definitely the thing. So, but no, we can't do anything about the heat because we have old school bird baths. But that's a great tip. Is like if you can get something that's a little bit circulating, you'll really be helping the birds out. All right. Well, this show turned out to be for the birds. Meg Tapp from the Garden Club of Houston. Please look online for their awesome graffiti event coming up, all about getting plants involved. Yes, what?
GC.
Say it again. There was a cutoff sound.
Oh, sorry. GCHouston.org. And that stands for Garden Club Houston.org. But all the information you need.
Well, great job as always. And, if you are looking for exciting educational opportunities, OBA is a great place to go. Our next event is tomorrow, which is Earth Day. We didn't even talk about Earth Day. And, it's going to be an incredible event. It's all about kind of taking back your health and reconnecting with the soil. They are one and the same. And so Dr. Maya Sheetreat will be presenting on kind of her book, The Dirt Cure, and how to just connect with nature, connect with the soil, and that leads to great health. So for Meg and I, we want to thank you guys very much for watching. And tune in this Saturday, Home Show Garden Pros on Sports Radio 610, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. So look forward to that, and call us with your questions then. Adios, live living peoples.
Hasta luego.